Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to the Matrix as we enter once again, Nikolai. How are you doing today?
Doing really well.
Are you
Excited to be surprised by your questions.
Yes, are you ready to flex your background because we're going to be going into all things technical and spiritual today. So,
Okay.
let's
Let's
dive
see.
in. So, what I want to talk about today was da 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 AI. So,
Okay.
because I want to talk about some of its implications and then also what it means for us on a spiritual and metaphysical level. So, since obviously you've got a tech background, certainly more than most people, um, you have online a lot of people that buy into this concept, and maybe it's not buying in, maybe it's true, but buy into this concept of the quote unquote singularity. Do you see this happening? Like, can computers actually gain consciousness? Are they going to supplant consciousness? Like, let's kind of start there with what this new AI revolution is promising to bring us.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting topic to dive into. First of all, I've been looking at the whole singularity things before it was even cool, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And it was just kind of becoming uh, the talk of the street in Silicon Valley with a few leading guys. I think one of the first guys was like Kurzweil or whatever his name is, was hired by Google and etc. So my take on that is actually I'm gonna start with some context because then the take will make sense. So there are two competing types of civilizations. One is technocratic, second one is bioenergetic. We represent, well, me, you, a bunch of other people, not everyone, represent bioenergetic type of civilization. And bioenergetic type of civilization is basically we have these biological bodies that integrate and sense the energy within and outside. So through the biological construct, we interact with energy, and hence, and this biological body is actually alive thanks to the energy. And the energy, the only reason we're actually, this body is alive is because of the energy. And the energy is self-aware, which we call consciousness. So this body is only alive because there is some kind of consciousness attached to it. And ultimately, and there is, by the way, great books written by Mark Gober. The first one he wrote, An End to Upside Down Thinking, and he talks about a lot of different things related. He analyzes consciousness and energy from very different aspects. By gathering, he's like previously like an investment banker, so he's very like rational, logical, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as he was writing his first book, so he gathered all the research, like validated research out there to show that we have this concept that we call consciousness. So, and some examples of that, right, is how like the body survives in extreme situations where it shouldn't, versus it actually dies in situations where it shouldn't. So if the so-called soul or consciousness exits this body, the body does not sustain alive. It is supported. Same as everything that is alive in this world. We can take animals, plants, and etc. The only difference is bodies, or the bodies of animals, are managed by a bigger soul that manages the kind. So there's a soul for all the cats, and the soul, bigger soul, is learning getting unique experience by managing all the cats. And there's like sub-breeds of cats, and there could be like a portion of that bigger soul, and etc. So if that energetic construct disappears on this planet, cats disappear on this planet, because there's nothing to propagate that type of life and support that type of life in a world of form, or which we also call matrix. So that's number one. So that's like an example of bioenergetic civilization.
Hmm.
Uh, the technocratic civilization, what's interesting is they're also their root is bioenergetic, like their bodies are bioenergetic, but they haven't figured out how to develop their bioenergetic capabilities. So they started creating instruments to make themselves more able, more powerful, more advanced, and etc. So they started creating an external mechanisms, external tools that is we call technology, rather than developing themselves. So hence, in that scenario, you create dependency and you undermine and remove sovereignty. So, for example, let's say take exoskeletons, right? Exoskeletons are slowly being introduced into like in military, in a space of disabilities, and etc. So in a space of disabilities, rather than understanding the root cause of disability and resolving it and coming back to the sovereignty and coming back to harmonious physical, energetic, and then physical state, a person gets exoskeleton and never actually heals themselves or fixes themselves fully. They become dependent on exoskeleton and they cannot do shit without exoskeleton. And what's interesting now, there is enough research out there that this body is an absolute system that can do anything and everything, as long as we understand how it works and how to manage it. So this body regrows organs. So there are like many registered scenarios where like surgically organs were removed because there's some kind of issue, like, I don't know, gallbladder, whatever, the list goes on, right? And then the body just regrows it. So the whole concept of, oh, I'm like ultimately disabled and like, or fatally disabled where I cannot turn this around, it's like biggest bullshit. Same as there are so many examples of people who were in like extreme accidents, couldn't walk, couldn't move, and then through persistence tried to understand how to resolve it and then achieved full recovery. And I think even like a great example, like you broke both of your hands, surgeons told you like your like capabilities will be limited,
Yeah.
and look where you're standing, like at 98% recovery.
Yeah, yeah, somewhere around 97, 98. I mean, I'm more than happy. Let's put it this way, we can.
It's like nobody would know that it was fractured into tiny pieces. Do you see what I mean?
No, no,
You go to the gym lifting weights.
yeah, yeah, no, no, no. When I tell somebody that this was in six pieces, yeah, and even though I got a big ass scar, it
Yeah.
healed pretty good. So it's like only if you look, you're like, oh wow, that is a big long scar. But no, people wouldn't know.
Yeah, and that's a great example. One thing is like, I'm gonna heal. I know my body recovers. It's like I'm gonna do what's necessary, exercises, mindset. It really all starts with mindset. And then everything else. So you're healed. Another option would be, oh, like fall into victimhood. I need special instruments. Okay, now you're wearing this cuff or whatever it is, but then it still doesn't move properly. Then because the cuff is not helping, then you're like, okay, they invented exoskeleton for an arm and I'm going to install it. So you've just basically, rather than coming back to your sovereignty, you've given away sovereignty and you've decided to outsource your sovereignty to technology. So technocratic civilization is all about using external instruments to recover, increase, magnify uh, being's capabilities.
Hmm.
And it happens for few reasons. One reason is not understanding the fundamentals of how this universe works. So thinking that it's impossible, like we don't have like same superpower, let's say, as ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has I don't know how many GPUs and servers. Like, I think their planet now, I think they're at 1 million GPUs, and like we have like a basic calculator processors here. Of course, like we cannot compete. This is the biggest misconception. So that's one reason. Another reason, some civilization that exist in a space where there is less energy, meaning there is and energy comes from uh, energy comes from stars, and the further away you're from, like, there is a central star for the whole universe, plus there are galaxies, plus there are like solar system or star systems. So like a solar system would be a star with planets orbiting it, right? So the further away you go away from the center of the universe per se, where what scientists call Big Bang has happened, and from where the universe started expanding, that center has the highest density of energy, has highest vibration, highest purity of energy. So you have access to infinite amount of energy. The further away you go away, the less amount of energy there is there, and the less structured that sector of universe is. So as a result, you have to work with the amount of energy that's available. So if you're originally bioenergetic being dependent on access to that energy, which like all like civilizations are bioenergetic in the beginning. And if you're far away and you're lacking that energy, you start inventing all types of instruments to magnify your strengths, power, influence, capabilities, and etc. Whereas in our scenario, if this solar system, planet with the sun, moved further away from the center to lower vibrational space, we would have went even further into technocratic path. But now, right now, it seems like we're going pretty aggressively into technocratic path. And the reason that is happening, and I've mentioned it in previous episodes, this planet, the solar system, has been managed by lower vibrational civilizations, and they're all about their approach to expansion is technocratic, and we're talking about like reptilians, insectoids, and etc., because they heavily utilize a bunch of other beings from even the lower vibrational part of universe, and they give them advanced capabilities by giving them technology-based instruments. Let's say you can go and take a being from the edges of the universe that barely sees light, and it has, like, let's call it uh, tiny soul and 5 brain cells. But if you put it in exoskeleton, that, let's say, that being becomes a great binary fighter. Fight, stop fighting. Fight, stop fighting. So those civilizations have utilized extensively technocratic approach to increase their power and increase their influence. Hence, it's one of their core values of expansion is through technology. We create a bunch of technology which can turn a least advanced being into a being of some kind of linear influence, because you cannot really give like advanced intelligence or stuff like that to the being, like, but you can give them physical strength, or by giving them access to intelligence. If the bulb is green, that means everything is okay. If the bulb is red, that means you need to flip the switch and do this and this. Do you see what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I would think also, like, even if we just look at the world today, right? Like, now, what's the main new innovation on the battlefields? Well, it's drones,
Yeah.
little cheap drones. And I mean, my God, you can get an 8-year-old can pilot those things. There's
Yep.
no technical know-how required, and yet, so essentially, it's like you could have an 8-year-old that has the ability to shape the outcomes on a battlefield, whereas 30, 40 years ago, you probably would need a physics degree, and you need to know how to launch these massive missile structures, and you got to be doing math, because it's like, hey, we got
Like
to have the
geometry, all
trajectory.
types of, yeah, exactly.
Now give him a PS5 game controller, throw that thing up in the air,
Yeah.
pilot it, kill somebody. It's crazy.
Well, and this is a great segue. So now, seemingly, an 8-year-old can be powerful. But then, and they are powerful with that, joystick or controller or whatever it is to fly the drones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what people, and if we continue on this example of the war, but what people don't realize, let's say that Russian-Ukrainian war that is unfolding, that was not created by a person like calling another person and starting a war. It was first created energetically, and it has been created in energetic field probably around 60 years ago, uh, because there are specific trajectories for the planet, and that the war is one of the instruments to remove low vibrational beings from the planet as planet is going through ascension, or in other words, through increase in vibrations as the planet is moving from uh, low vibrational space to high vibrational space of universe.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to clear anything that's holding it back. So the war, like all the volcanoes are activating, all types of natural disasters, like there are many different instruments that the matrix can use to basically balance itself and calibrate itself for the vector in which it's moving. So hence, if you stay at that very simplistic level, you're like, oh, it is like Russia and Ukraine disagreed about something, and then they started using drones, and it's all about because drones are so cheap, the war still keeps happening. No, it's because specific underlying energies are still unfolding. So if we really come back to the original question, the real power and influence and capabilities are energetic, not technological. So there are big beings or souls that create those vectors, and they create those vectors with as simple as a thought and a sound. And then off it goes, and there is a war in a specific region of the planet, versus there is this misconception always like, oh, we accumulated weapons, hence we can go fight. No, it's like it has been first created energetically, and then somebody started accumulating weapons and etc. So, and that brings us to, we barely touched on concept of manifestation. First, everything is created energetically, and then it starts propagating in the world of forms. And this, how this matrix works, it's like first there is a thought, then there is an emotion attached to thought, and then there is a sound, like an audible sound that basically confirms the initiation of manifestation. And that manifestation could be anything. I want a haircut. We were just talking about it before. It's like, I know I want to get a haircut. And I said, I got a beautiful haircut. And by saying that, so I had a thought, then I had emotion attached to that. And by speaking that, I created sound. I launched manifestation. And now I just sit back and observe how the world unfolds. And one of the things you can do, you can add a little bit more energy through action. So I went for 3 seconds and looked for hairstylists in the area that I'm in. I messaged one indicating, yes, I'm intending, I want this. And that's it. I stepped back, and that hairstylist didn't respond. And then I told you a story. I'm in a co-working space. There's a person who manages it, has long hair. The problem where I am, if you go to barbershop, the only thing they know how to do, I'm in Turkey right now, the only thing they know how to do mostly is to shave your head. And that's what happened to me last time. And I want shorter hair, but not so short where it's like shaved. So I was like, so I'm talking to the manager here, and he goes, oh, I know exactly the problem you're describing because he has long hair. I have a guy who does women's hairstyles, and then I see him after hours to do my hair. So the matrix created the events where now I have a solution where I can get a hairstyle. So hence energy is where, because if I would summarize it, because the whole universe is just energy that is aware, that is where the true power is. And another analogy I can give you, right? It's like if we stay on a military analogy, you can use like brute force of like doing like rocket launchers, which is like a thermal explosion. But to get the most power, you need to go to the most minuscule scale, which we're talking about a nuclear bomb. Same thing here. This body is a gross expression of energy. It's a dense energy, and it has only so much capability, power, influence. The finer you go, so the finest you go, so which is you go to energetic level or self-aware energy or consciousness, the more capability, power you have. What's interesting, it's almost impossible to reach that level unless you do specific work on yourself, on like your ego, on your trauma, on your karma, and etc. Because all of those things prevent from that. First of all, makes you heavier, makes you denser and lower vibration. The denser and lower vibration your energetic part is, the bigger, the lower the levels of consciousness you can read. So another way of it is like, think of it as a microscope, right? Like the more karma you have, you can, let's say, only see like the scratches on the surface on the table. And the lighter you become, the high vibration you become, then you can zoom in to like molecular and then atomic level. So it's the same. So the high vibration you become, that the deeper into things you can see, hence the more you can influence. If you go to the most foundational construct, let's say, of matter, you can even, if the soul has specific type of access, you can reprogram the way that matter shows up in this world. And that's where bioenergetic path has so much more potential capability, because basically what then the being is doing, the being is moving in a direction of absolute, the creator of universe. So you're becoming more and more like the creator of the universe, hence you get more and more access, hence you have more and more influence, you have more and more capability, and etc. And of course, to move in a direction of absolute, you harmonize any type of distorted thoughts, desires, aggressions, and etc. So it's like, it's also a protection mechanism. Like you cannot go to the finest level of creation unless you're balanced, because if you try to go there, the the speed of and the amount of energy just destroys you.
So a couple things to dive into there, because I know you were gonna touch on it in the beginning, and then we went down the deep rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So just to bring it back, in terms of the singularity, what do you think that like, is that actually an achievable thing, or is that just pie in the sky technocratic thinking from that side of that team or that side of the camp?
Yeah, it is achievable. The thing is, it will not be achieved on this planet. It is achieved in other sectors of the universe, and where basically less capable beings are augmented with all types of technocratic or technological invention to expand their capability. This planet, while it was under management of these civilizations, has, as we can see today, has heavily invented into technocratic path. That was one of the timelines. However, we are not on that timeline anymore. And by the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned or not, 2012, everybody thought it will be end of the world. It was not. It was not intended to be end of the world. It was the end of the contract of those low vibrational civilizations managing this planet and taking it onto technocratic, in a technocratic direction. But the information was twisted in such a way that, oh, the world ends, because they wanted people to go in low vibration, fear, and etc., which prolongs their management, because significant subset of them can only exist in a low vibrational space, because what I was just describing, their energetic system is not capable such a high vibration and such amount of energy to flow through their structures, they start burning. And hence, if we observe a huge subset of today's society and the world, all the media is trying to keep them in fear and worry and etc., because that prolongs that civilization's management of this planet, because it keeps those people low vibration. As a result, they feel so helpless. They need Western medicine. So, for example, like I built 3 companies in healthcare, um, successful companies. I haven't used healthcare system, I don't know in how many years. Like it's just like it's not a thing. It's like when once I understood the most fundamental level of creation, which is energy and consciousness, then I understand how this body functions. And let's say I start having stomach pain, I just go energetically there, zoom in, and understand what is causing it, make energetic adjustments, and the pain is gone. And similarly, like, well, any type of, let's call mechanical injuries, like you had your arms broken,
Hmm.
those do not happen unless the matrix is trying to deliver a message to you, which was the case in your scenario. Or let's say your energetic body is damaged for whatever reason, and there are many reasons energetic body can be damaged. Then you can have a mechanical injury in that area. So, and that's why coming back to, if you understand the most fundamental aspect of the creation of life in this universe, all the technocratic solutions, because so like they start looking like kindergarten toys. They're like, are you for real? So that's why coming back to singularity, now this planet, post actually 2012 to 2016, there was the contract was over, but the civilizations were like, we're not going anywhere. We have more opportunity to milk this planet in many different ways, and that's a
Hmm.
separate conversation. So there was a lot of energetic counteraction and negotiation between 2 sides, the high vibrational civilizations that are present here and the lower vibrational. And finally, 2016, the agreement has been reached that they're departing from here. With that said, they're not really willingly departing. As a result, there's still a lot of weird stuff is unfolding here, but there is a lot of work being done where whatever they're not willing to remove or whatever is being cleansed. And hence, this whole thing that we kept talking about, Matrix V6,
Hmm.
is a bioenergetic timeline. So the bioenergetic timeline for this civilization has been 100% confirmed earlier this year, and has been already confirmed much earlier before that, but there was still a chance for civilization to fall back. And if it did fall back, there's a high chance we would experience a biblical event, or what a lot of elites call right now major geophysical event, because the way consciousness of the planet works, if civilization is going towards self-destruction, it will wipe off the civilization so that the planet is preserved, because the planet is a higher consciousness than any single unit in a civilization that hasn't figured out how to live harmoniously with the planet. So that biblical event, the floods, whatever, and they're like, so every culture talks about some kind of event that wipes out the civilization. That is just a protection mechanism of the planet. So if we would start going down that route or stayed on that route, then the planet would wipe itself and civilization restarts. Next attempt, next attempt. We are now on bioenergetic path, which is completely different level of opportunity, potential, and capabilities. And coming back, bringing all this back to AI. When I look at AI, and it's funny, I remember I was in New Zealand at this, and that was like a few years ago, when AI was just like starting to make the news and everybody was freaking out. And there's like probably 100 to 200 very influential people from all over the world, and everybody's talking at the table about AI. And my comment was, I was like, well, AI is just a simplistic calculator. They were like, how can you say that? It's so advanced. It's so much smarter than us. I was like, that is because you haven't fully activated your capabilities. So to give you an example, a preview of like bioenergetic capabilities, it's like AI is only as good as the data that it's fed into it.
Yeah.
And the number of sensors we have on this planet, and I'm not talking even about high quality sensors, the number of sensors we have on this planet is limited. Yeah, there are cameras now everywhere, there are microphones everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And then plus humans love to type things into machines and take pictures and blah, blah, blah. But it's still like the reason one of the biggest businesses in AI are labeling businesses, because there's a lot of really crappy data that is not structured and not labeled. And so all these factors, limited number of sensors, crappy data, and then that data is structured and labeled by inharmonious beings, so meaning beings of lower capability. Do you see what I mean? So it's not like you're putting deep sense, you're labeling basic data, and there's no really, the data lacks a lot of deep sense. So it stays rudimentary. So you cannot, like, yes, on a single level of a being, you let's say you create singularity, you integrate Neuralink, and I've hanged out with one of the main engineers of Neuralink a couple of years ago in San Francisco. You integrate Neuralink, okay, you have access to library. That's it. And what are you gonna do with that? If you're an idiot before, now you're just an idiot with a library card. So where I'm going with this is that is due to like limitation of sensors, quality of data, structuring data, so many layers. AI to me is a basic calculator. And the reason it is, once you start tapping into to your consciousness plus other layers of consciousness, you start realizing you have access to all information, pure information, because higher levels of consciousness cannot store impure information, because information is energy. The lower quality information is, the lower vibration that energy is. The higher quality the information is, the higher vibration that energy is. So as you learn how to tap into your consciousness, and then you clear yourself, you harmonize yourself, that means you can reach higher vibration levels of consciousness. Hence, you reach the purest information that does not exist right now in any database, AWS, like Amazon data centers, whatever. It just, most of the information here is very distorted, very crappy, because it was produced by a lower vibrational civilization that was on a technocratic path that is trying to be augmented by technology. So as a result, when like coming back to health, like when I'm dealing with health problem, I don't go to WebMD like I did before, or Cleveland Clinic or whatever, because that information everybody knows by now is just garbage. Everybody self-diagnoses themselves with cancer, or I don't know, panic attacks or AIDS, like HIV. So this is like, I go into the root cause of energy, and then I pull information from high levels of consciousness to understand what it is. And as a result, I can heal the root cause of that problem. And it disappears. It does not reappear. And this is a comparable of AI and a bioenergetic capability of a human who decides to activate their capabilities.
Got it. Man, there's about 3 new episodes just from what you said there down the line. But I don't want to diverge right now. But
we're back here like 2027, season 3.
Yeah, exactly.
AI versus humans.
And this might be a succinct point, but I just want to get your take on it. Mainly because, again, it's like, even if you look at the news, you look at the social media, you look at your friends in California, in the tech sector,
Yep.
Wall Street, everybody, it's like AI. It's the season of AI, right? It feels
It
like
is a season of AI.
AI is the new meme coin or something. So
it is. Well, and financially, it is also. It's that all the metrics are same as the .com. .com boom and bust,
Well,
all the same.
and we have a question coming on that, so just hold on to your hats. It's coming.
Yeah.
But do you find that AI, and we're just looking at from a net perspective, right?
Yes.
Is AI a net positive or net negative for humanity? And here's the important part that I wanted to get into. What's the driving spiritual force behind it? Is it grays? Is it reptilian? Like, have you got a sense of like who is actually driving this sudden appearance of this technology?
So I would ask the following question: is appearance of a hammer a net positive or net negative for civilization? And what I mean by that, AI is just an instrument. You can use hammer to build a house, or you can use a hammer to kill a person, right? It's like because technocratic approach is all about creating more tools and technologies to expand your capabilities. Um, it all depends how you use those instruments. So the way I look at AI, it's a great instrument. Like, even though I just basically said it's a basic calculator, um, it's a great instrument to enable beings at this level of consciousness. But subset of beings, and by beings I mean humans, will set a vector to connect with their bioenergetic capabilities and surpass AI. But subset of humans will set a vector of, let's say, getting richer, like some kind of a superficial vector, where they will become a slave of that instrument, because without that instrument they're nobody and nothing and etc. And so it's really same as with everything. Driving a car, you can drive to a beach and enjoy the sun, or you can drive off the cliff and die. So right now there's a huge subset of population driving uh, off the cliff because they're giving away their sovereignty to AI. Oh, AI is smarter, is more capable. Anytime you have even a thought like that, you're basically diminishing yourself and you're degrading further. Not only the civilization was already on a degradation path and vector, and we've talked about a simple metric: is next generation better than the past one? And the answer now is definite no. Like, the next generation is depressed, cannot afford a house, cannot afford healthy, high quality food, and the list goes on. Cannot manage their emotions, lost in values, confused about genders, confused about identity. Are they a cat or a dog or a human? And what is human? Or they have white privilege, and that is a big problem, right? So much garbage.
Yeah.
And the list can keep going, right? So in a nutshell, here I use AI, and it's a great secretary for me. Like, when I need to do research where to buy something, when I need to help me with travel, now I don't need an executive assistant. Super helpful. I appreciate it, but I don't remove thinking. I don't outsource thinking, or I don't outsource my sovereignty. It's like, I use a toothbrush to brush my teeth rather than using my finger. Toothbrush is better than my finger. So, well, Grok, I use Grok. Grok is better at like doing research than me going through 7 million pages, because the internet is was originally, like, the way it was created is so inefficient, and search of it is inefficient. So AI is a better way to go through that. And to give you another example why it's such a still, like, the current version of AI will improve, but it's still such a basic of a calculator. And the reason I believe there is a .com or AI bust to come, like, recently I needed to replace I have a cover for a presentation. There is a man on the cover. I asked every top AI out there to replace the man with a woman. It could not do it. A few things happened. It did replace it with a woman. It was AI generated woman, and anything AI generated has no energy in it, because nobody put in part of their energy or small particle of their soul into creation. Hence, it's energetically flat. So I was like, and on top of that, it messed up all the icons, drawings around the person. So, and I clearly stated, do not touch anything else in the image except replacing it. Still messes everything up. Then I was like, okay, then fine. You mess up everything. It does not work, but maybe we can do something with it. Go find me any woman online and don't generate an AI image. And completely failed. So then I uploaded an image that I found myself and I said, here's this image. Don't touch the background. Here's a woman. Insert this woman on top of the man. Miserably failed.
Oh, wow.
So that was a like 45-minute experiment that just demonstrates how rudimentary basic, and it's not like that woman was like faded into the background and among the trees. No, it's like clearly like everything, like all the borders, everything was clear. Like, and this is an example how still like basic the technology is, and it will continue expanding because there's still a subset of this planet, because those civilizations that brought here this technocratic approach are still pushing this technocratic approach, because that's their way. Because the agreement that was reached in 2016, they pick up and go, but they pick up their belongings. So whoever will give away their sovereignty to AI is their belonging. Those beings, those souls, those humans are getting off this planet. And hence, they're still pushing this technology aggressively. And when you ask who's behind this, it's like these like I'm like, it's not specifically haven't checked, is it insectoids, reptilians, greys, or whatever. Like all of those civilizations are heavy users of technocratic approach and heavy users of AI in their civilization. So like, for example, like Steve Jobs is being praised for invention of iPhone. And I think he should be praised for invention of iPhone because he introduced a device that connected this, let's call it, like connected this civilization where it was. But however, the way he brought this iPhone to this civilization is by doing a bunch of LSD, dropping a bunch of acid, and that technology was downloaded into him by one of these civilizations, reptilians, greys, or insectoids. And hence now we have this device that is basically generating a bunch of data to train AI. So that's like a longer step. But with that said, there's a massive benefit to that instrument as well. We were sitting, all these, I don't know, spiritual people, shamans, whoever, been sitting all around the world, thought they're going crazy because they're now like have all these superpowers being activated in them, and they thought they're losing it. This device enabled to connect us. So we started chatting to each other. We started teaching each other. We started shaping up, like accumulating super fragmented and distorted knowledge. So we started getting to the essence. So big thank you to Technocratic Path, because it supported this vector, the bioenergetic vector, quite a bit as well. Because of that, we also remember Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, and those guys. Like Nikola Tesla had a Buddhist teacher. He was pulling all types of bioenergetic technology out of higher vibrational space. But because the civilization was on a technocratic path, he was rapidly shut down. All those technologies were rapidly shut down because bioenergetic technology surpasses technocratic technology, I don't know, 100-fold, maybe even further. So like bioenergetic path still has technology, but it's that technology does not take away sovereignty and is integrated with the creator of the technology. And what I mean by that is the main energy source for that technology is the being or the human. So let's say there's some good sci-fi stories. There are sci-fi stories, but not really sci-fi stories. There is actually a great guy. I think he was part of like KGB or something like that. But bottom line, he was like Russian special forces. He's massive. He's like jacked. Like he can like probably take out a building. So he like somehow rapidly awakened and started being channeled all types of information. And he thought he was going crazy, but then talked to some people, realized he's not as a result. But he couldn't, when he started getting that information, everybody thought he kind of lost it. So he said, no, I'm just all this is my imagination. I'm going to write books because my dream is to write sci-fi books. So he wrote them into sci-fi stories. And he describes really well the comparison of technocratic civilization and bioenergetic civilization in these sci-fi stories. And so that allowed him to download all this information without being thought that he's crazy. And probably some people that could be listening this that are not yet in a vibrational level or haven't intended or tried to connect to higher vibrational space or their consciousness, this to them will sound like gibberish, what I'm talking about. But whoever needs to hear it and understand will, because they have further reach. And when truth is spoken, resonance activates. And it's like, so there's a specific feeling there. So I was going about was that guy, sci-fi writer, for example, like he describes like spaceships. So right now we chatted in previous episode, I think we touched on Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great technocratic rockets. In the high vibrational bioenergetic civilization, the rocket, it's not a rocket, it's a spaceship. And the spaceship is powered by energy of a human because the being is so high vibration and can concentrate so much energy from the space, hence can power this whole machine and fly through space, ignoring gravity. And this is the future. This is the future of this planet. This is the levitation, for example. Everybody's, oh, levitation possible or not? Right now on this planet, in the most areas of this planet, levitation is not possible because the current version of the matrix does not support it. One of the reasons the matrix specifically written the program, it's like operating system says, I do not support this type of software, hence it's not supported, or this type of driver, whatever. So this current version of matrix, levitation blocked. Another reason, there's not such a density of energy on this planet yet to be able to like basically concentrate energy to counteract gravity. But because the planet and the whole solar system moving high vibrational space, the density of energy is increasing. As a result, we'll be able to levitate. So like we wouldn't even need like, let's say, a spaceship for a basic like movement, like I want to hop over the river or over the lake or etc. And that is ahead of us. And if when we start talking about these type of technologies, AI and technocratic technologies start seeming like drones start seeming to be like a joke. Like, why the fuck do I need a thing that I need to charge every 20 minutes if I can just lift myself over and hover over the water? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So, and you, I think you explained it quite well throughout that, but would you say then that humanity as its own sort of computer processor has peaked then? Like if we go back into what you were talking about, the loss of sovereignty, right? Where now most people can't do math without a computer. People can't create original works. Like, there's no, it feels like there's no true creativity anymore, and everybody's looking to the AI as sort of their creative force or their inspiration or their god. Like, were we actually smarter in the past than now? Were we more capable in the past than now? Or is it not that we are less capable per se, but that this fifth matrix moving to sixth is changing what smart and capable looks like?
It's a very loaded question, and there are multiple factors. Number one is the level of beings, and when I keep saying beings, so one human does not equal another human. Yes, their body is equal because it has arms and legs and like, okay, different color, different strengths. I'm not talking about those parameters, but the consciousness that connected to that avatar, because the body is just a bioenergetic suit to exist in this sector of universe. And when we look and say everybody is equal, that is not true. And in no way I'm like promoting like discrimination here. But at the same time, you don't tell a 3-year-old to layer a bricks to build a house. Do you see what I mean? It's like, hey, you're already 3. I need to build a guest house. Go. Like, it's just dumb, right? Same as like there is a human who has a young soul, which means consciousness of smaller energetic capacity, less experience, and since less experience, less capability. And then there is like avatar like yours, big soul, extensive experience, millions of incarnations. The list goes on. So there is so much depth, wisdom, capability accumulated in that consciousness. So we cannot compare. So first, this planet, the challenge and the biggest beauty of this planet, that is such a uh, potluck of consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are like many young souls that are having this unique experience. And originally it was a planet where young souls came in and through 52 incarnations got to a level of basically more or less close to the level of absolute in 52 incarnations. That's why we call Matrix V5 Advanced Evolutionary School. When it functioned properly, before all the bloatware and spamware got installed by the other low vibrational civilizations, like insectoids, reptilians, and etc., a young soul formed, went into the body 52 times, came out as a creator of universe. That's like, that is an invention and a half, this whole planet and the matrix itself. Then all the bloatware and spamware got installed, so it became very difficult to understand why you're even in this body. You're like, this is just fucked up. Like, people are killing each other. I don't know. Like, I'm supposed to like succumb to the news or AI or whatever. So people are confused. And it's the real war that's unfolding right now. And I don't want to use the word war or counteraction or this energetic negotiation is informational. So information has been distorted and blocked. So like all the sources are pumping like zombie programming, brainwashing TVs, programming people to what to believe and what to think. As a result, they stay at low vibration. Hence, they will never be able to reach the capabilities we're talking about. And once you even had a little taste of that capability, you're like, this bullshit. So hence, like, psychedelics was an interesting thing that kind of created an awakening, but it's also illusionary awakening, because people who've tried some kind of psychedelics, they're like, oh, the world is not what the news tell us. And they experience that God type of state. It's like, whoa, everything is energy, everything is consciousness. You see how the matrix works. The list goes on. Whatever part you've seen or whatever experience you had, and then they're starting to seek. However, if they continue seeking through psychedelic experience or through psychedelic instruments, they get stuck in an illusionary awakening, because the energetic structures or entities or so-called egregors that manage psychedelics are managed by low vibrational civilizations. So that the access to that was given to create illusionary awakening. So people, oh, I'm awakened, but they're still under management and control of technocratic civilization. So this way, I was like, oh, I'm great. I feel energy, I move energy, but in reality, they're in this little sandbox, moving sand around and being managed by civilization that manage psychedelics. And like in a pure state, once those egregors, let's say ayahuasca egregor, LSD egregor, mushroom egregor, get cleansed, then they can be used purely in a more constructive way. Right now, they give you a boost, then you have a perception, wow, you're becoming godlike, and people start thinking that's the path, and they get stuck, and they only get to, let's say, through 3 out of 10 of the path, with a perception, with a now big spiritual ego that they're the god.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I've definitely seen that through my own experience. Not the spiritual ego part, because I never stayed with it that long, but just the idea or the feeling that, wow, I got these insights, I'm making this progress, and then you step back to Newtonian reality and nothing changes. And it's like, I'm doing this to somehow shift something, and I'm getting like a Happy Meal, some chicken McNuggets, right? And
It's
it's
like
like,
great.
chicken McNuggets. I mean, it sure damn well looks like chicken, but it's not,
3D printed chicken,
Yeah, and
technocratic chicken.
Technocratic chicken. And it's like, God damn it, can I just get myself like nice, juicy, like real organic chicken?
And this is a great description because I was just catching up with somebody from Austin where psychedelics became so popular, and now there is a backlash against spirituality because Austin for a moment became like the spiritual community of United States. And then guess what? When your values are distorted, you will bring your values everywhere. So the values of let's call it I don't want to call it Western approach because it's not necessarily Western. Let's call it the values of the current version of civilization was brought into spirituality, where everybody started seeing spirituality, healing, and awakening through through a pharmaceutical model. Give me mushrooms, give me some kind of a pill to heal myself. Nobody's willing to do any work on themselves. They're just once again, and this is look, this is not a technocratic pass, but this is kind of technocratic pass where you use an external instrument, give away sovereignty, where you cannot do shit without ketamine or ayahuasca or mushrooms or etc. Oh, I cannot heal my trauma unless I take ayahuasca. Ayahuasca will take me to the deepest of the deepest, and I'll figure out and resolve it. This is the biggest bullshit ever. That's a big illusion, and hence, if we connect the dots fractally, the reason it's unfolding in these egregors because they're managed by those civilizations that are still trying to take subset of this civilization, subset of humans, keep them on technocratic path because then they take that pieces of consciousness, that energy, because at the end of the day, the souls, the humans, it's all energy. They're taking that with them to another part of the universe. But whoever is fed up and played enough of this bullshit game is going to stick around here because this planet is V6 matrix is the planet of architects, and I haven't spoken about that. Architects are basically the most advanced souls in universe. They're basically steps away from creating their own universes. So they're steps away from becoming absolute. And architect souls are these as last evolutionary stage of souls before it can become. It's like kind of like, let's imagine this is the absolute, the creator, the God, what we call, and this is our universe. All these souls exist in it, and they evolve, and as they evolve, they expand. The more they expand, the more processes they manage within that bubble. It's like Russian matryoshka dolls, right? When it gets large enough to the absolute level, which is basically last level of architect or a main architect, it can continue helping manage different sectors of the universe, or it pops off as like another bubble over here and becomes its own universe with its own universal laws, with its own parameters, qualities, and etc., with its own star systems, if there are stars, but more or less everything kind of is fractal, so there are a lot of similarities, overlaps. So this planet is becoming the planet of architects, meaning, and the reason there's so much fuzz energetically or among these civilizations or aliens and etc. about this planet, because this planet has some very advanced informational coding in its consciousness that supports very advanced forms of life. So you don't have to rebuild it from scratch. So hence, there are already a bunch of architect souls that loaded here helping the transition, but there are a bunch of non-architect souls that are advanced souls, but like some are step away from architect, some are like 5 steps away from architect. Through this transition, they can quantum leap into architect status. And that's why this evolutionary experience on this planet is like next level. Like you can basically skip 2, 3, 4 grades in high school and right away get into, if you can demonstrate that you can survive through the shit show that is unfolding right now here, where there's so much influence, energetic influence and informational, because information once again is energy. There's so much energetic influence through information on this planet. No, your main metric is wealth. Accumulate more wealth. And it's like, okay, I accumulate more wealth. Off you go into technocratic path and not necessarily fully awakening, or etc. Or you gotta have more status, get more status, climb the ladder, right? So like if you can manage throughout that noise to figure out what is actually unfolding and connect, if I would just remove all these words, big words that I use, and like use a very simple term, connect with your heart and do what makes you happy, you won and you will transition. And like we don't need all these technicalities that we're talking about. It's humans who are honest with themselves and live their unique life in the way that it makes them happy. They want to build a business. Everybody says that's how you build business. You got to raise VCs. Like, nope, I'm okay building one client at a time because that's what makes me happy. For another person, they need to build rapid, large scale business, and VC is a great instrument. And once again, one big meta insight here. Everything that exists here is an instrument. We choose how to use it. We choose it for our evolution and expansion or degradation. But people say, well, I use all these instruments for my expansion, just like your expansion or your bank account expansion. And let's put it in perspective. Previously, at least they gave you paper with some ink on it. Now it's just ones and zeros that can disappear in an instant if, for example, 5 data centers implode one day. Do you see what I mean? Now your expansion has disappeared overnight. So have you expanded, or illusionary, you've given away all your sovereignty and energy to this illusionary structure that you've been expanding outside of yourself? So, and that's why the statement that still floats around, the best, and it becoming a little bit more and more popular, the best investment you can make is investment in your growth, in your evolution. But people also misunderstand that, oh, I need more degrees. Did that degree make you happy? Did it move? Did your relationships get better? Did your career progress? Not career, I'd say, did your craft progress? Because career is already a distorted construct, right? If you use the energy investing in yourself like that, where it makes you happier every day, then you're on the right path. If you're collecting, okay, you're not collecting ones and zeros in a bank account, but you're collecting degrees that you put on the wall, that's the same type of illusion with just different metric. And there are so many metrics, illusionary metrics were invented to keep people off their path. So that's why if you make it over to V6 matrix, the matrix on Planet of Architects, holy fuck, you went through a shit show and still managed to get your shit together and evolve. In dark, you carried the light and expanded the light.
All right. I got a couple other questions here, but I don't know that they keep us on the path. One thing I'd be curious about, and I think you'll appreciate this one in an old school reference kind of way. Do you think that AI will be the next internet or the next laser disc? What do you see with
I'm
this?
going to use a different
emerging?
AI is the next version of calculator. You know, we have a basic calculator. Then we had one of those in school we needed to use for algebra.
Oh my
The
God,
Texas
horrible.
Instruments calculator that could graphing calculator. So AI is just the next version of that. And what I mean by that, the whole planet is shifting towards, whoever is going to stick around here is shifting towards connecting with their consciousness, hence always being online. And all the AI and internet is all of these technology, because in the universe everything is fractal, are mimicking bioenergetic advanced technologies. The most advanced, well, internet is collective field of consciousness. Internet is like right now, the reason I'm in co-working, because Starlink doesn't work in Turkey. So consciousness, that type of consciousness, sorry, it doesn't work in Turkey. The type of consciousness we talk about, it is a foundational building material of everything that exists in this universe. Hence, it's everywhere. Hence, it works everywhere. Hence, you can access it everywhere. So, for example, there's more and more research comes out about particle entanglement and quantum physics because of particle entanglement research, I can scientifically speak about it. I can connect to you energetically while you're sitting in Montenegro and feel exactly how your stomach feels.
Yeah.
Because I connect to your energy and particles get entangled. So your state of particles is connected now to my particles, and I can completely feel everything that's happening in your body, as an example. So
Yeah, well,
that,
and
I think, is
even
the real internet.
well, and just to give anybody that's ever had the experience, like a real practical, grounded experience of it, like, as you know, I was doing my NLP studies this weekend. And so it's now done because we used to previously, when I did my training 15 years ago, it was all in person in a room.
Yeah.
So the wisdom of Mitch at that time, you get people in this circle and they're creating the field, as we call it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're calling in the field. And then you're doing this crazy metaphysical consciousness, like where literally,
Kumbaya.
yeah, you can't. I mean, unless you've ever experienced a family
Yeah.
constellation, you can't even describe it to someone. It's like, okay, I'm suddenly magically given this role. I don't know what it is, and I feel all the emotions, the sensations, the pains of this being that I'm channeling this conscious energy of. Well, it's one thing to be in a room with people and you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Now we just do it online. And it's like the total, I mean, there's a group of us, 20 of us, different countries around the world. And literally, Carl is just like, just there you go. And boom, now you got the role and you're going down this consciousness rabbit hole with this channeling of an energy or a being that is not you, but you are able to feel. And that
Exactly.
is fucking crazy, but it's real.
So whoever hasn't tried constellations, highly recommend. Mitch is one of your pros. Reach out to Mitch, and he'll set you up at least with the first experience.
I mean, but it's that exactly what you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you want to talk about the internet of all things. It's that,
Bioenergetic internet.
yeah, it's that field of consciousness, because it's like, oh my God, I could just tap in and I can get anything that I want if I can find a way to tap into it.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the technocratic internet. Unless I tell you that my stomach is feeling weird, you'll never find out. There's no sensors. Okay, then they can build in sensors into the body, but like even Neuralink, the level of advancement there, like it can keep increasing, but it will never get to the precision and detail of consciousness, because it has to ultimately become consciousness. If you want to feel the smallest, the finest wave in this universe, to feel it, you have to become that. And if you become that, that means you became energy, or you became bioenergetic. You became that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus technocratic is some kind of a little nano hammer or nano sensor, but it's still not small enough to be that wave. So you cannot feel that wave, and that's the limiting factor. And that's why the ultimate path that gives you the most opportunity and the most capability and is the one that carries consciousness, that connects to consciousness on this planet. It happens to be that this body is connected to consciousness. And the further you connect with that, then more capability you have, because you can reach further out in the universe and finer. So you go deeper and deeper into the essence of creation. And of course, there are other bioenergetic beings that, because of the values, so we've talked about, let's say, reptilians and etc. And by the way, in no way I'm shitting on those civilizations, because there are some really advanced beings among those civilizations that know and understand more, for example, about this planet and how matrix wired than most of the humans on this planet. So they're quite as they have advanced beings as well. It just there are other they they came from lower vibrational, retaining some values of low vibrational uh, lifestyle, meaning like there's not enough of everything for everyone. Hence, we have to fight, create a hierarchy. And on top of that, those civilizations were the one that got well, now I'm gonna take it completely next level. You want to talk about like multi-dimensional chess? Those civilizations, the reason we're counteracting right now with those civilizations is not because they're those civilizations. It's just because they were overtaken by consciousness of another universe. So two universes collided, ours and another one. And because they were more, those low vibration civilizations, more on outskirts of the civilization, right? That field, that consciousness, uh, integrated into those beings. So, and now the universe has moved apart, and that consciousness is trying, like a virus, is trying to take over this universe by reprogramming the fundamental parameters of how energy flows in this universe. And it reprogrammed their civilizations. So they're trying through them, it's trying to spread throughout. And if it does, we will not exist here. It will be a very different civilization. So what's happening right now on a universe, on the level of universe is healing. It's pushing back this field or this infection or this virus by bringing back the the original copy of everything that Absolute created of this universe, that it intended, its universal laws. So, for example, that field, that consciousness has different universal laws. So, in that field, and the challenge with that field, there's also no problem with that field with the other universe. It's just that universe is less advanced than this. So, if it eats us, then we become less advanced. It's like we think we're going advanced. Okay, so we got fancier calculator, whereas before I could feel God, I could feel Mitch from like few thousand kilometers away. Now I have to pull up this fucking metal device and look at the screen and ask him, Mitch, how's your stomach? You know? And my Starlink doesn't work in Turkey. Like this is moving back. This is really going caveman style here. So and that field, that universe is in a way less advanced, or like maybe hasn't evolved as far, instead trying to take over. And one example of that, it's a very beehive type of hierarchical structure. There is a central god and everything serves that central god, and there is hierarchy. Whereas the beauty of this universe, it's like blockchain. Everyone is god. Mitch is God, Nikolai is God, the viewer who is looking right now has a particle of God. All of us are particles of God, and we back up the whole. That's why there's a saying: there is universe within every being. Yes, because everything in this being, there is a backup of the whole universe. Hence, we can become sovereign. We can become co-creators rather than fall into this hierarchical hive type of structure where there's queen bee and there's warriors and there's servants and etc. Right? That's that type of field, which is like basically evolutionary, uh, less advanced. Whereas in our scenario, everybody, like Mitch's soul, can achieve the level of absolute and can go spin off and create its own universe. And that's where this universe is already at. So that's why we're pushing this back. By we, I mean like there's a lot of consciousness work happening or energetic work happening through all types of souls, beings, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. And we're like pushing this back so that we can retain this advanced level of advancement and continue advancing.
Mm. Whew. Well, if I can just wrap this all up, that was a doozy. And
I told you we're gonna get like it's like next level. So we get like you thought we were already meta. This is next level of meta.
Next level. Well, whatever's going on out there in the Matrix, at least we can thank them for putting Sydney Sweeney on a jeans ad. There's that.
Here you go. Get some people to reevaluate their values, and hopefully they arrive at more aligned conclusions.
Yes. Well, that's it from my side.
I'm
Man,
going to throw in one tiny practical tidbit coming back
yeah,
to
please
AI.
do.
Mm, since I see more and more people, not only just people who are not clued into consciousness spirituality, use AI. Those like especially give away sovereignty. They're like, oh, AI is more powerful. Anytime you think AI is more powerful than you, that is a problem. You've basically surrendered your consciousness to the management of AI. You've given it permission. You've created a contract, and universal law number 5, contract has to be executed. If you thought and maybe said, if you made a sound that AI is smarter than you, that contract will be executed. It will be smarter than you, and it will take control of you. With that said, doesn't mean you don't use AI. You use AI to activate your capabilities. And here we've shared so many examples of how you can carry capabilities that are beyond any AI. So you should use AI to help you learn, I don't know, first principles of like physics, quantum physics, whatever the list goes on, spirituality, with the intention, oh, it's a great learning instrument, or it's a great research instrument, or it's a great blah, blah, blah instrument, right? So yes, use that instrument to accelerate your evolution and learning, but in no moment ever give away your sovereignty. And right now, people like start using it. Like also, for example, I see heavy use in spirituality among like my spiritual friends who are very advanced, and that is limiting their growth because there's like, wow, this AI helped me navigate, let's say, my relationship with my girlfriend. And it's superior, more superior than me. As soon as that happens, that's it. Like that is
Yeah.
a degradationary pass. So no, it was helpful because it has some amazing psychological models. Beyond that, AI has some access to a rudimentary collective field of consciousness, but it's very like it's super rudimentary. And or a better way of saying it, it actually represents low level of because of all the data, it represents low level of human consciousness, like more animalistic type of consciousness that we're evolving away from. So in some moments it could be perceived like, whoa, how did it know? How did blah, 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 blah. And people fall into that trap, starting thinking it's more capable. In that moment, that's a little alarm going off. Okay, I need to work on myself, on harmonizing myself, on connecting to finer levels or higher vibrational levels of consciousness so that I actually activate all my capabilities and surpass AI. And I can use AI to do that, but as an instrument. So, and that nuance is very critical because whoever succumbs to the greatness of the AI and stops seeing it as an instrument will become a robot. If I would just summarize it bluntly, right? It just further accelerates degradation, and there is already so much degradation happening in this civilization because of all the news, values, distortions. The list goes on. So why? And now AI is grabbing the smartest. Do you see what I mean? At least previously, the news grabbed like the average and below average. AI is grabbing now what I'm observing around me, the really intelligent and capable people.
Yeah.
They before without AI, they thought, okay, I feel at least some sovereignty. Now they're like, whoa, I don't have sovereignty. This thing is more powerful than me. So before, let's say it was like whatever, let's call it 70% was in a brainwashing state of news, 20%, 25% could reason, and 5% have figured something out at least.
Yeah.
Now that 25% that could reason uh, fall victim to this invention, to this internet and AI and whatever. The calculator, the new version of the Texas Instruments graphing calculator. And I'll end here.
Yeah, yeah, you've just left me with a scarring image from my high school days. Thank you for that. All right. Well, looking forward to next week. You gave me a whole host of new topics to dive into, so we'll do that next week.
Thanks for all the great questions. Looking forward.